In this demo, I'm going to show you how to build a pizza ordering process from scratch using IBM BPM 8.5.7 on the cloud using only a web browser. In this diagram, you see the key participants of the process. You see that Melissa can use her iPhone to place an order, and then the order gets routed to the cook, Bill, and then Colby, the driver, picks up the pizza and delivers it to the customer. The customer can choose to pay by credit card or they can pay by cash. Now, if the user pays by credit card, then IBM BPM will make a web service call to the payment processing service, and then the order would be complete. Alternatively, if the user wishes to pay by cash, then the delivery driver will return with that money to the store and then deposit the money in the cash register. And the nice thing is, just by drawing this picture, IBM BPM is being programmed to assign the orders to the appropriate teams at the right time while keeping track of each order's data without writing database code. I can even call backend APIs, and IBM BPM brings the human activities with the system activities into one solution. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up the browser, and I'm going to go to my instance of BPM on cloud. So now I'm into the landing page for BPM on cloud. You see there's a development environment, a test environment, and a production process runtime environment. Production's highly available, and then there's admin capabilities to manage your users, as well as a lot of online learning. So I'm going to build the process from scratch. So I'm going to go in to the process center and do launch. And with 857, you can now build processes just using the browser. So I'm going to create a new process application. I'm going to call it Bill's Pizzeria application app. It's going to be BG Pizza app 2. Create that. I'm going to open that up in the designer. So now I'm going to create a process for the ordering of pizza. So I'm going to call it pizza ordering process and click finish. So to order pizzas, a customer is going to come in using their smart device, their smartphone, their tablet, and they're going to place an order. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of that to place order, and that's going to be the customer. So I'm going to change the customer. So I'm going to change the swim lane to customer. Of course, they could call in, and my staff could take the order on behalf of the customer. And then after they place an order, the order gets routed to a team of cooks. Let me put that swim lane in here. My cooks will cook the pizza. I have multiple cooks, so this is a role, and one of the cooks will claim that specific pizza order. So this task is going to be cook the pizza. Then, after the pizza is cooked, a driver, my delivery driver, will pick up the pizza and then drive it to the customer. So again, this is a role, not a specific person. It will show up as an order that any of the available drivers would choose. So this is going to be called drive, or let's just say deliver pizza. Now, when the pizza gets to the customer, then the customer has the choice of paying by cash or paying by credit. And they'll choose that option, and then depending on what choice they choose, the system will route route to the appropriate next step. So let's call this payment type. So, and we can start connecting these together. This is process comes in, person places an order, routes to a cook claims the pizza, then obviously they prepare it. So there's kind of a beginning task here when they claim it, and then when they're finished, they'll click a button to say I've finished the pizza, and so then I'll have time duration of how long that pizza took. So I can monitor that and improve that step if necessary. Additionally, the driver will claim the order by claiming the deliver pizza task, and that'll start the timer or the clock. And then when they get to the customer's house, the customer can say through the browser, I'm going to pay for the pizza, and they'll choose if they want to pay by cash or if they want to pay by credit. So let's say that they choose to pay by credit card. So if they choose to pay by credit card, the customer can enter their credit card information through their phone. I'm going to say charge credit. And that's going to be an automated task. So I can actually make that automated. So we'll get their information from their phone, it can stay encrypted, and then we can send that out to the credit card processing to charge their credit card. If they would prefer to pay by cash, then they can do that. They'll specify that they want to pay by cash. And let's call that give driver money. And then the driver has to drive that back to the store and then deposit that into the cash register. Deposit money. So that's the basic flow. Now let's connect the money to the deposit money. And then after the charge is done via credit, then it will end the process, as well as if the money is given to the driver, it will also end the process. So now I save that. And already in this few minutes, I've built a process with multiple roles and responsibilities with swim lanes. I have a visual depiction of the process, and I can test it out immediately. All right, so that's the first step. BPM, IBM BPM builds a basic workflow out of the box, a user interface for that step with a complete or a done button. So I can do that, click the done button, and you'll see that the flow moves to the next activity. So that's simple in doing a process. So I'm going to stop this and put a front end on that first task, because as you saw, that default kind of stubbed in form didn't have any data. And we need to know that. We need to know what pizza the customer's wanting to buy and where they live, so we can drive it to them and give them the right pizza. So what we do is we go into the variables tab of the pizza ordering process, and I'm going to create a new private variable. And IBM BPM makes it very easy to create variables and new data types. So I'm going to call this the pizza order. And I don't have a data type predefined. I could just use strings and decimals, but I'm going to create a new type called pizza order. So this is a new custom data type. It's going to have a field for the pizza type, so veggie, pepperoni, meat lovers, things like that. It's going to have a size. Obviously, the size will indicate the cost as well. It's going to have a cost, right? So how much does it cost? And I can choose predefined types such as decimal. And then I'm going to have who you are, who's the customer. So I'm going to have a customer property, which is, again, a complex type. So I'm going to create a new complex type for the customer field, customer object. So I'm going to have a first name, I'm going to have a last name, I'm going to have a street address, I'm going to have a city, state, zip, phone number, and an email to notify you that your pizza's on the way and whatnot. So created that type. Let's close the customer object, the customer object definition. And now you'll see that the customer object definition is embedded inside of the pizza ordering data type definition as well. So I close that. Now in my process, I need to specify the HTML form for this first step. So I'm going to go into implementation, and you see it uses the default responsive human service. I'm going to create a new one. And sure, let's call it place order. I'm going to click this button or checkbox that says intended for use on multiple devices. This uses the responsive widgets so that I can create one HTML form that's going to work on mobile devices, tablets, and desktops, all with just a single a single HTML page. It will respond and be responsive to the form factor. So I took the variables that I defined at the process level. I'm going to use those within this HTML form. And BPM calls those coaches because it's coaching the user along filling out the form. And you see it already pre-builds a form for me with the data types that I specified. So that's ready. I can now save this one and I can test it. So now I could choose, veggie and medium. Obviously the cost would come from a system such as ODM, IBM's Operation Decision Management Rule Engine, that can specify the combinations that indicate the price. So with that, and then I do OK, and then the process moves along. And you'll see that it captured the data. I didn't have to build any SQL or any kind of database persistence. It's all just kind of done for me. So now, in fact, if you go, this is the development environment all through the browser, but the end user would see this through the process portal. So here you see you've logged into the process portal through just the browser. It has the activities or the work that you're assigned to or that you can claim. You see processes that you can launch. If you're a manager, you can see your team's performance. So all the kind of dashboarding out of the box and your work queue of tasks. So if you go down here, I can look at this pizza I just created. I click on the icon here and I can get details about this process that's in flight. This is an order that's in progress. And this is a responsive portal as well, so I can hit this from my browser or from my tablet, and the form factor and the layout will change to look nice on all those different platforms.